Hello, Sue. It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you, Amy. It is wonderful to see you.
Sue, everybody really loves this story. Tell me about where your life has kind of brought you to this line of work. We call you an empath and overwhelm specialist. Tell us the story, but brought you to become a coach, a specialist in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with you, Sue, is I believe you've been doing this longer than the trend has been calling people coaches. So just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about that.
I have actually. I discovered when I was really young that I had the ability to read other people. I didn't know I was reading them. I just got a sense of what was going on with them. So if they were good people to be around, I would cozy up. If they weren't good people to be around, I would put up an invisibility. I guess you call it like an electrical force field. Not an invisibility cloak, but it's a force field. It's electrical, and your brain actually creates it. It's not something that you imagine. You can actually turn it on from your fight, flight, survival center, your limbic brain system. And people are just learning that now through the study of somatics and quantum energy theory, how it affects the human body. Anyway, not to digress and get lost, when I was really, really young, like 6 years old, I would recognize the kids in the playground that weren't good for me. We lived in a very interesting neighborhood, and some kids were a little bit more dangerous than other kids. Mm-hmm. And so I would just make myself invisible so they couldn't see me, and I would walk right through everything. Nobody noticed me. When I got older, I began to sense what people really needed. So I began kind of going, well, maybe can I help you with this? Can I? And people would confide in me, strangers on the street, people in the stores, they would just tell me their stories. I married a man who was like me, very empathic, very empathetic. He got sick, and when he got sick, very early on in our marriage, I began to feel his symptoms in my body. And I thought I was sick. They tested me, but I wasn't sick. He was sick. And when he went through emotional problems later on in our marriage that eventually ended up with us divorcing. So I thought that the overwhelm that I was feeling was mine, and I realized it wasn't. So this coaching piece of it kind of began there, and all of the challenges in my life, I began to realize how I could manage them, the overwhelm, using brain science, not knowing that that's what it was called. So somatics in a lot of ways. That's the new buzz term, somatics, but people are misusing it. So I guess if you were asking me my story, here's the story really fast. Yeah. The story is that I learned to use these tools that are part of my toolbox and make my life less overwhelmed, my life calmer, and eventually find that piece of myself that led me into coaching. And what
can I just interject, because I want to add to this without stepping on your toes a little bit here, but that is what makes you so, for me, because, and I've, no qualms to share that I met you on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about that because I want you to finish your part. But what makes you so, the only word that comes up is like relatable. You really, and that empath, you really are able to understand those of us who are overwhelmed. And with this technique or practice, I think it is a practice.
Better. It is a practice. It's not a technique.
No, it's not a technique, because there's no tricks to it. It's a practice. And you're really able to tap into that energy that is that overwhelmment. So anyway, carry on, please.
To be very clear, it took me, I guess, 56 years of my life to get to the point that I was willing to retire into becoming a life coach. I had a family thing happen. It was very overwhelming, of course. Things don't happen. The easy things don't lead us to transformation, ever. It's always the challenging things that force us to really confront ourselves and find the best of ourselves, or work through something that gets us to a new stage in our lives. So it was a very challenging time. I'd broken my arm. I was laid up in bed for a couple of weeks. My first grandson had just been born, and he was the first grandson. He was the first grandchild. And I was crying in my bed for 3 days because of what had happened. And I found an article in one of the naturopathic type health food store books, magazines, that said, it was a great big page ad for life coaches. And I read down everything, went, oh, that's me. I've always been that person. Oh my God. I'm a solutions provider. I pick up on what people feel. I feel it in my body. They were talking about empaths, but they didn't know that they were talking about empaths. I get to read people, and I'm a solutions provider. I loved it. So that's my story, really. I became a life coach as my third career as I was moving into early retirement. And I've been a life coach now for close to 16 years.
Oh my, I didn't realize it had been 16 years. So
16 years.
wow, congratulations on that. Your third,
Thank you.
yeah,
My third career.
forget retirement. Who's
Yeah.
got time for retirement? Yeah, you and I, like I said, had met on LinkedIn. So, for anybody who's, watching this and enjoying our conversation with your cup of tea or maybe a couple glass of wine, I just poured myself a tad. We met on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, the moment I decided to go with your 6-week program, and you give great value. I joined your 6-week program, and you gave me an exercise that we worked on, and I saw results that within 7 days, and we giggled about that, and you were not surprised. I was shocked. Because of the subject matter that we were dealing with. In that 7 days, I broke through some really thick stuff that, it was really great, Sue. So you do you really do have a gift. And I really want to encourage anybody, if anyone is looking for somebody, just touch base with Sue, DM her from LinkedIn. So Sue, you had a really great post the other day, or maybe it was just this week. I think it was like just a couple of days ago, on what's your identity. Yeah. And you have this, I think it's called Sacred You, with a U, Sacred You community. Right. And it is on LinkedIn. I don't know if you share it across any other platforms.
It's actually not my community.
Okay.
I am an expert. I'm on it as an expert, offering a tribe and meetings and panel discussions. And it's an amazing community. Is just because they're actually doing their launch in May. They've been in beta for a year, and they are amazing.
Yeah, you've got some great experts. I mean, I was following it naturally because I'm looking up what Sue's about these days. We hadn't spoken in a while, and you've got somebody who's an astrologist, and you've got a niche navigator who I love. What is her tagline? Riches are the niches, or something.
Riches are the niches. Yes.
Yeah, riches are the niches.
So I normally do 1 to 2 panels a month. 1 to 2 panels a month that I facilitate. I create the content for, and I basically act as the facilitator, like the one that you saw. And then there are another 2 or 3 that I will also act on as panelist, as an expert panelist.
Well, it sounds like somebody can also get a hold of you if they're looking for somebody on the panel.
Yes, sure. Absolutely. Any panel. I can talk on anything, anywhere, anytime. Just hand me a topic, and I just let go.
So, but going back to what's your identity real quick, because I don't know, for me, I thought, when we meet people at network events or at, cocktail parties, and the question that often we all know that's often been out there that, people like you and I assume you like to switch it up. It's not, I don't ask people, what do you do? I've actually never been really comfortable with that. I've come from the hospitality industry, and I've often asked them, oh, what kind of things do you do to make you happy? And then you get into like their hobbies, or, they like to sail, and then you get to talk about their travels, or, their boat or whatever. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to ask the question, what's your identity? How do you identify with, your coworkers as opposed to your family? And let's start there, and then you're going to get a whole.
Whoa. Actually, if you're in a networking thing and it's a business networking thing, I would ask, how do you identify based on what your position is? How do you identify with your team? How do you identify with the managers above you? How do you identify with your clients? Mm-hmm. And where's that connection? Yeah. And that doesn't take them into the personal. Like, how do you identify with your family? I don't want to know that. They don't want to tell it.
True.
Usually.
Right.
But I would find a way to turn that around so that it really niches down into their their position and their profession.
Yeah.
And it gives them a chance to really showcase who they are. People love to talk about who they are.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
true. So
Yeah.
true. I had somebody who's he's a big talker. He can barely take a breath and he's got more to say. And he says, I just really enjoy being with you, Amy. You are just so wonderful to be with. And I said, that's because I'm a good listener.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that makes me such a good coach because I love to listen.
Yeah.
And if I can stop my excitement about what people are talking about long enough and give them enough time to talk and tell me their stories, then I get that sense. It's more than an intuition. It's an electrical connection. Remember we were talking about that electrical force field?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And their electrical force field and my electrical force field, they kind of bump up against each other, or they broadcast. It's like electrical signals from like a radio signal or a cell tower signal. And people broadcast bands of signals about their emotions, about their needs, about their insecurities, about their fears. And it depends on what they're broadcasting that we can either choose to allow in or decide to filter and accept only part of it, or block it all and send it back on a very calm wave of other energy that our hearts and our brains work together to create, so that slides in under their electrical force field, not as a hostility, but as something that is calming to them and lets them feel witnessed and validated. Now, there's an interesting thing, an interesting new concept in psychology. Actually, it's something that I've been working with for years and years and years, but now they're just talking about it. So if you've ever heard Dr. Stephen Porges speak on the polyvagal nervous system and the polyvagal theory, it has to do with somatics, which is also the big buzzword now, but I've been doing it for years. What he says, and I've known a long time, is that people want to be witnessed. They want to be validated. They don't necessarily want you to fix them or take over their problem. They simply want to know that they've been witnessed and validated. So a lot of people who are hostile, a lot of people who are chronically ill, a lot of people who are incredibly insensitive, a lot of people who are very needy and just need attention, basically all they're really looking for is to be witnessed, which is I see you. It's an energetic thought wave that goes out, I see you. But it's sent so calmly and so gently, compassionately, with no judgment. I hear you, meaning I hear everything you want me to hear. I hear everything you don't want me to hear. Same thing with the I see you. I see everything and what you want me to see and what you don't, but with complete compassion. You basically turn off your annoyance or fear of them or insecurity around them, and you just see them as being people that need compassion. So you offer that I see you, I hear you with great compassion. And then the next part, and that's the validating. I see you, I hear you, witnessing and validating. And the next part is where you protect yourself. The next part of that message is, this stuff you're sending me is undeliverable, meaning it's like an out of office alert that you put on your email. So I see you, I hear you, you're being witnessed and validated, but this message isn't getting through. But you're sending it with that compassion and validation and non-judgment, and it just slides right on through. It lands in their heart and their nervous system because it's a radio wave.
Yeah.
It is it's measurable. That's what Dr. Stephen Porges is, measurable on all kinds of scans. They can see people's thought waves going from one person to another and bouncing back. So basically, it lands in their heart. There is a brain in your heart that picks it up, literally.
There's
brain
a
neurons.
nerve, right?
Yes. The polyvagal nervous system. It's called the vagus nerve.
Vagus nerve.
Yeah. And it runs from basically your brain stem, which connects to your limbic brain system, which is in the center of your head. And then that nervous system, that nerve runs all the way down through your entire body, through your heart, through your gut. And they each have similar brain neurons. So they're communicating at a brain level with your mind, telling your mind where your thoracic region is and where your gut and your lower body region is. So that's way too much information. But the point is that when you send off that I see you, I hear you undeliverable message, basically the other person gets, I've been They saw me, they heard me. Great. The heart sends that message up through the vagus nerve, gets to the limbic brain system, and the limbic brain system says, oh, but they don't want us to send this kind of information anymore. And it takes time for the message to be received more than once before that person goes, oh, I'm not getting the reaction I want from this person, so I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop sending them this kind of information, this kind of need, right? So it's really kind of cool how the brain is now being recognized as a communicator energetically, not just in our bodies, but as an outbound source for information and an inbound receiver as well.
Well, it's no coincidence that when you live long enough and you realize that when you think of people and then they contact you, it happens. It just happens so frequently. And that's an anecdotal tall tale sign. I do understand the whole energy aspect of, molecules too. We're made up of molecules.
Yep.
And molecules are made up of, I don't know, maybe you know the answer to this, how much energy is in a molecule. It's like 95% or.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it is about 95%, if we're both right. The amount of electrical energy that creates our bodies are more electrical energy than anything else. I mean, if you were to consider how much water there is in our body, there's more energy, electrical energy in our body than there is water.
Right. Well, again, when we met, and hi, everybody. So when we met, I knew it was an energy issue, and it was not anything that a parenting book can tell me that I needed to work on. I knew it was energy that my, subject and I, were not able to find our way. And so that's what, and then you came to me, and I was presented to you. And thank you, LinkedIn, for that. Yeah. So, I think you do have something coming up that I would like you to touch on. It's a masterclass coming up just in a few days, Sue. Calm the Overwhelm.
Yes.
There was a product out there when I was looking at products from women-owned businesses to represent, and there was a really great oil. It was called Calm the F Down.
I love it.
I know, it was really.
I just love it. It's perfect.
So yours is Calm the Overwhelm.
Yeah.
Not Calm the F Down.
No, it's not.
So yeah, you must be preparing for that. Tell us a little bit about that, because
Love to.
That's something we need to hear about.
Calm the Overwhelm is something that I've been doing with people, but didn't really call it Calm the Overwhelm for years. It's really part of the coaching process. People come to me in extreme states of overwhelm, and the work that we do together over however much time it takes, and sometimes it's only 6 weeks, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 4. But the work that we do together is using all of these energetic tools that you and I have worked with, and there are more that we haven't, that basically work with brain retraining and somatic exercises, which are the body sense exercises that tell you where your body is at and lets you understand what people are sending you through body sensation. It's more complicated than I can explain here, but
right. Well, that's why you have class.
That's why I have the class, the master class. So what I did is I've been doing this in 6-week sessions, one-on-one, for years. I have never had anybody that wasn't successful with it. Not one person didn't turn their life around and move into a very calm lifestyle. Now, calm is very different from being energized and excited and everything. You can be calm and energized and excited all at the same time without being overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
So the point is to move you into that energized and excited state, but keep your body and your mind calm enough so that you got the space to do the work that you want to do and be successful and own it in such a beautiful, embodied way that life is joyful. So basically, I decided that one-on-one was amazing, but I can't do one-on-one forever. I mean, let's be realistic. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm still doing the one-on-one, but I'm turning it into a series of master classes. That will be 9 to 10 sessions. And the very first session are live, virtual, on Zoom. So I will actually see people. They will see me, which is not really my comfort zone. I'm going to tell you the truth, because I feel people better when I can't see them. I connect energetically with those radio waves from a distance and I put my hands up because I can feel them on my hands. I can feel them in my body. But I connect really well without the visual. The visual, people lie. When they show you their face, they lie. They put a scrim up. They put like it's one of these virtual backgrounds, and they basically put a virtual background over their faces and bodies, that confuse the people that are looking at them. So when I work with people and I can't see them, then I get a better reading on what's going on. We get different results. In a gallery, in a Zoom gallery, there's so many small faces, it's not going to affect me the same way. I've been doing Zoom galleries now a long time, and they're just fine. They're very productive. Yeah. So what we're going to be doing is it's a 9-week masterclass series where I teach the basics of what I taught you. It takes a longer period of time. There's a very specific agenda. We don't get as much into the life coaching, the personal stories, but we do touch on some of them. Everybody's asked to bring a story that they want to transform energetically so they handle it different in the future when they leave the class. And they will, because I've done these group sessions before, and they are always successful. And so between the 9, there's a whole agenda. We start at the very beginning with the diagnostic, and we go through all these different processes and tools and practices, so that at the end of the 9 weeks, it's 1 session per week for 9 consecutive weeks, and there's a bonus at the end. So it's called Calm the Overwhelm Masterclass Series. Very simple. And
it is those tools, it's eye-opening. You think you might have heard all of, there's a lot of coaching out there that's, many touch on their own niche, right? And often there's, you'll hear things that you've heard in your life before that's valid. That's why it's being, that's why, it's valid. But the tools that you taught me, I had not practiced those before, and eye-opening and opened up again my relationship with the subject that I was working with. And wow. So
I am so glad that it worked that way for you. Yeah. I'm thrilled. And it works that way for everybody that I work with. And I do a happy dance around my home every single time we have a breakthrough, and we get breakthroughs every single session. So I'm going to be doing a lot of happy dances, depending on the number of people I get in my masterclass series. So the masterclass itself starts on April the 16th. Oh. The sales page for it opens on March 31st or April 1st, depending on what my VA is able to complete between now and then. But starting on, I think it's April 3rd, this weekend, I'm actually starting to do Zoom conversations about overwhelm and how to manage overwhelm. And so there will be like mini sessions inviting anybody that wants to come on, experience them. There will be a live gallery. There will be a chat. They can ask questions. I'll make it interactive. If they want to come on camera, want to come on voice, they can. The sessions will be less than an hour. They will be recorded. I would like to keep them fairly consistent, but each one is going to be live. It's not going to be canned and then just put up on the net for people to log into. A lot of times they, well, you can schedule your call at 9:15 or 9:45 or 10:15. It's not that. It's going to be once on a specific day, and it's going to run every second day between April 3rd, I think it is, and April 15th.
On every second day?
Every second day. I'm going to do a short Zoom, which could be 45 minutes, could be an hour. It's going to run in the evenings. I think I put it in for 7:30 in the evenings, which means it works in with most people's work schedules. Yeah. And even if people are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's going to work in with their morning schedules right around their lunch hours. So they can join in, or they can get the replay. If they sign up, they'll get the replay.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, and the replays are so valuable. They are because there's so much happening. Yeah. And when you're able to, on your own time, hear something that's already familiar to you. Right. And you can just kind of bathe in it.
Right. Exactly.
Soak it in. I'm like, you can actually, sit in the tub and just soak it in because you're familiar with it already.
Did you know that your first exposure to anything that you're listening to or watching, you only retain about 50% of? If you go back and watch it again, and it doesn't matter how soon you go back and watch it again, but if you go back and watch it again, you get another 30% retention. And you go back a third time, and you've got almost 100% retention of what's important to you. What's not important to you, shoot, it's gone.
Yeah.
You're not going to hold on to that. But what's important to you, you will retain.
Yeah.
So if people sign up for the Zoom, I'm hoping they'll come on live because I want interactive conversations. I truly want to talk to people.
Yeah.
But if they can come on for a little while and have to leave, they're going to get the replay because they have to, in order to get the Zoom, they have to provide an email address, and I will send them the link.
Mm-hmm.
The link will only be live for a few days, so they won't be able to keep it forever, but they can log into another one as it comes up and have a different conversation. So the Zooms are free.
That's
totally
amazing.
free. Okay. And if you look at it, it's about 7 Zooms over 15 days.
Wow. What a gift. Honestly, my gosh, if you guys, I'm going to put that. No, actually, I'm going to ask you if you could put that in the comments of the event link that I've put on. And then I would definitely want to invite more people into that. This is a huge opportunity for
it is
people who need it and are seeking, services that you're providing people. It's just not around every corner is kind of what I want to say, but I don't know if that's accurate. It's just not on every available so readily. You are special. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
You are very, very special. And I just hold you in the highest regard because I am I just have a testimonial to what I experienced. And so I hold you in the highest regard and your services. And I would like to, in closing, just, ask everybody to share this information with others. You never know who could really use this. And, there's a lot of people out there who, like you said, are putting on the facade, putting on the face, but, they hurt inside or they're overwhelmed. And overwhelmment is pain. It is a lot of pain, actually. It hurts.
It does hurt. And what I've found is that, yes, I coach to energy, but I coach to situations. So I coach to early burnout. I coach to business identity. I coach to divorce identity as well. So that when somebody is going through a divorce, what happens is that their identity, in reaching that place, their identity is changed. And as they go through the divorce, they become changed by everything they've gone through, going through the divorce. What they're dragging along behind them is the anchor of all of that. And when I coach people through divorce identity, I get them to change up the energy that they're bringing through the negotiation so that they leave that negotiation a winner and feeling totally empowered and transformed. And they go on immediately, even before their divorce is complete, to be starting a brand new, embodied, exciting, vibrant life. And people see them not as victims, but as victors, as winners, as people that people want to get to know. One woman that I have been coaching for a while, she's going through a very difficult divorce. And she actually was offered a position in another country with a university that totally embraces all of her talents. And she would have not ever thought to go for it because she wouldn't have been broadcasting that new identity.
Right.
And she's just attracting
right.
all these wonderful opportunities. And that's what this kind of coaching is really all about.
Yeah.
It's not about the somatics or the energy. It's about changing up how you receive energy and how you broadcast who you truly are, which is that identity piece that you started this conversation with. Who are you, really? And you aren't who you say you are. You are who you broadcast you are. You
said it all. That I just am here to, like I said, as a testimonial, and I just wanted to share your message. I wanted to give this to others as you do so well. So DM, direct message Sue on LinkedIn, and it's Rumack, Rumack. You can read it on our little link here. You can find her. And
I'm the one with the white hair. There's one with dark hair.
There's one. Oh yeah, you're the one with light hair, and there is one with dark hair. Yeah. She definitely has light hair.
Yes.
So, and Sue, I just thank you so much. Oh, I want to mention she's Eastern Standard Time, a Canadian gal. So that's the time zone that she's in, if you need to know that. But Sue, thank you so much for taking the time. And this has been a real delight to see you and to speak with you again. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I wish everyone a good night or a good morning, and just have a lovely week ahead of you. Thanks, Sue. Bye, everybody.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking, Jamie.
Thank you, Sue.